So today we're diving into the new science that's connecting cannabis and psychosis, and more importantly, what it all means now that the plant itself is, well, a completely different beast. Let's just start with this quote because it really hits hard. We're not just talking about a little anxiety or a bad experience. For some people, this is something else entirely. For a long, long time, this was the story we were all told, right? It's a natural plant, a chill way to unwind, probably safer than having a few drinks. It's an idea that's really seeped into our culture. But here's the thing, the story is changing, and the science is making it really clear that for a certain group of people, the outcome isn't relaxation, it's a severe psychiatric event. And this isn't just random bad luck, it's rooted in biology. It's about how this powerful new substance interacts with the developing brain. All right, so how did we get here? To really get it, let's walk through a story that might sound, well, pretty familiar. So let's meet Alex. And he's not some stereotype, okay? He's just a normal kid. He's got friends, plays sports, and is trying to figure out all the usual high school stuff. The pressure, the social scene, all of it. And when he tries it for the first time, wow. It feels like a solution. That constant buzzing in the back of his mind just goes quiet. Social stuff suddenly feels easier. From his point of view, this stuff really helps, but there is a huge piece of the puzzle that he has no idea about, and that missing piece is absolutely critical. It's all about what's actually in the product he's using. This brings us right to what researchers are calling the potency problem. I mean, you really have to see these numbers to believe it. Back in the 90s, the average THC level, that's the stuff that makes you high, was hovering around 3 or 4%. Today, it's totally normal to find products that are 20, 25, even 30% THC or higher. Just look at that difference. This is not a small adjustment. We're talking about a substance that is in some cases 10 times stronger than what people were using a generation ago. It's a whole different ballgame. So this is the key takeaway, right? Alex is not using the same stuff his parents might have experimented with back in the day. He's using a high-potency psychoactive drug, and his brain is still under construction, which is exactly where this potency becomes a huge deal. And this massive leap in potency, well, it brings us to what scientists are calling the tipping point. These are the specific things that research has flagged as dramatically jacking up the risk of a psychotic break. Okay, so the research points to 3 huge risk factors. It's like a formula almost. First, how often you use it. Daily use, way higher risk. Second, potency. Anything over 10% THC is where the association gets really strong. And third, and this might be the most important, age. Starting as a teenager just magnifies the danger. Okay, look at this number, just 30%. It comes from a massive study, one of the biggest ever done on this, covering millions of people. So what does that 30% mean? It's pretty shocking, actually. That massive Danish study estimated that as many as 30% of all schizophrenia diagnoses in young men could potentially be prevented if cannabis use disorder was taken out of the equation. That is a staggering number. So that begs the question, right? Why young men specifically? What is going on there? Why does this seem to hit them so much harder? Well, this analogy I came across really puts it into perspective. A huge part of the answer is brain development. The part of your brain that sorts out what's real, your prefrontal cortex, is still being built well into your mid-20s. Flooding that construction site with super potent THC is like messing with the wiring while the electricians are still working. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty. Let's look inside the brain and see what's actually happening on a biological level when all this goes down. First things first, we need to be super clear about what psychosis actually means. This isn't just feeling paranoid or anxious for a bit. It's a clinical diagnosis for losing contact with reality. It often involves these powerful paranoid beliefs and even hallucinations that feel 100% real to the person going through it. So here's how it goes down, like a series of dominoes falling. The high-potency THC floods the brain's receptors. This sends the dopamine system, which is like the brain's what's important filter, into total overdrive. When that filter breaks, the brain starts attaching huge importance to random meaningless things, and that's where the paranoia begins to grow. Now, let's go back to Alex. For him, this isn't some abstract chemical process called a Barron Salins. It feels real. A friend says something totally neutral, and it lands like a deep insult. He hears people laughing down the street, and he knows they're laughing at him. His reality filter is starting to glitch, and this is where things get really serious. That slow slide from anxiety into paranoia, it can build and build until it hits a crisis point, a moment where for some, a switch flips, and when that switch flips, it is a full-blown psychiatric emergency. Alex is now completely convinced he's being followed, that his phone is tapped. A song on the radio isn't just a song, it's a coded message just for him. And you have to understand, for Alex, this isn't a delusion, it is his reality. And this right here is maybe the most frightening part of the whole thing. For way too many people who have one of these psychotic breaks, it isn't temporary. The symptoms don't just fade. That event can act like a permanent switch, triggering the very first episode of a lifelong illness like schizophrenia. Look, this isn't about moral panic or bringing back old drug war talking points. It's about looking at the new science, at a product that has fundamentally changed. The data is getting clearer and clearer. So the real question it leaves us with is, with a substance this potent, are the stakes now just too high?